Today, I'll tell you the story of Lake Sidney Lanier, located in North Georgia, most commonly referred to simply as Lake Lanier. Josh, what's it called?
Lake Lanier.
That's right. Lake Lanier, steeped in eerie whispers from locals, apparently the ghost of a dead woman roams the lake during the night. I'll tell you about the controversy over the seedy backwoods southern local community and then the flooded town that created the artificial lake.
Created by human.
Because my grandmother's homestead is actually under the lake.
Wait, your grandmother's
Really?
homestead is under the lake?
What?
Currently, don't know the address yet. I got my mom on it to try and find out.
I'll tell you the address. I know it. It's... Sorry.
Let's talk about Lake Lanier. And Josh, because you know the history, feel free to chime in. Lake Lanier is located in the foothills of the North Georgia mountains. It's about 40 minutes north of Atlanta. The lake, which borders 6 counties, is the largest in the state of Georgia. The man-made lake was created in 1957, and it spans 59 miles and has 692 miles of shoreline. The lake is enjoyed...
Wow.
What the...
Sorry.
All right. The lake is enjoyed annually by millions of local boaters and vacationers that visit North Georgia for its beautiful Smoky Mountain views and leisurely water activities. As swimmers casually splash around on the surface of the water without a care in the world, unaware of the ghost town that lies just 100 feet beneath their splashing legs.
Ooh. All those ghosts down there going, ooh, look at all those splashing legs. Sorry, that was cheesy.
At our front door, we've got one of those boards that, you change out the letters and the numbers on it.
Mm-hmm.
And for the longest time, it said it kept a body count for the year, which is freaky. Like, because we live on the lake. At one, I can't remember, it was like 27 confirmed bodies within the last whatever.
Wow.
It's nuts. A lot of people are lost in this lake.
As I've learned from moving here, you're saying there's a connection with this town and people swimming around. People are being pulled under by seaweed or something.
Seaweed or long arms.
Yeah, right?
Actually, what it is, this lake is just, it was just nasty. There's tons of fishing line down there,
Okay.
which people get entangled in.
Yeah.
I think it was last boating season that a husband and their wife jumped off the boat near the shore, swam around for a little bit, both climbed back in the boat, and the husband got hot again and decided he was going to jump back in. And when he jumped back in, he didn't come up right away. His wife started getting worried, and then all of a sudden he pops up, and then he went right back down. He couldn't get up, and he drowned, and he died. He was entangled in fishing line.
Drowning is the second leading cause of death, accidental leading cause of death.
Say that again properly.
How do I say it? Drowning is the second most second. I don't know how to say it. How do you say?
So, Josh, you're saying that drowning is the second cause of accidental death.
deaths.
What's number one?
Car crashes.
Cars, probably.
Car. Okay, yeah.
And then it's accidental because you're not considering heart disease. And
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
That tracks. I'm from Idaho. I grew up there, and we have a lake called Lake Ponderay. It is a really large lake, and it covers several mountain ranges. It's huge. It goes all the way up to Sandpoint, Idaho. And the reason I'm bringing up this lake is because this lake in particular has the same sort of stories, but it's a natural lake. So the only thing that's strange about it, the only thing that gives me the heebie-jeebies, would be the fact that there is a military base, a naval military base, that tests their submarines in a little town called Bayview. A lot of people will go out, they'll be boating, and then they'll just disappear.
Oh.
Same thing. They'll fall off the back of the boat. Everybody's searching for them.
And their bodies
And they
don't
don't
turn
turn-
up.
There is actually a horror story from this lake. I I had a band teacher in junior high and high school who told us this story that people like to go up and jump off cliffs into the deep water, right? Well, one particular summer, it was so warm. It was like just an extra hot summer. Friends of his were jumping into the water, and a kid came back up, and he had flesh stuck to him.
Like someone else's flesh?
What had happened is he was leisurely having fun, jumping into the water, and he had plunged through, feet first, through a dead cadaver that had somehow surfaced back up because of the heat. And I mean, this is a deep lake. Think about it. They put submarines in this lake.
Oh my gosh,
They test submarines. And it's in the mountain. When you go there, you see there's these mountains that just jet into the water, and that's it. There's no shore. It's just like water, and they keep going, so it's probably, if you had like a nice clear day, and you could do one of those things where you're swimming up and you're like looking down, and you'd see the mountain just continue to go down super deep.
Idaho.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I always like to joke that I'm from a little town called Utapimp, Idaho. You're welcome.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it's the same kind of thing. There's not like any association of an old town, but people disappear. A storm comes through, a guy kayaking out in the lake. You think, oh, it's just a small, it seems kind of like a small lake, but he's out there. Waves get bigger and bigger. Next thing you know, we lose Jerry. We see his kayak on the shore. He's gone. I think a lot of lakes just have the habit of swallowing people.
Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah.
But none have the terrifying notion that there could be a town below. I don't know about you guys. I freak out. Just the notion there might be a submarine below me would freak me out.
No.
I know, right? I don't want to know. I have a fear of anything in the water with me, let alone something even weird like that, just freak me out. Ugh.
Yeah. That's terrifying.
Totally scary.
That's freaky. Lake Lanier actually has quite a shady past. When the lake was created in 1957, the U.S. government displaced 700 families and relocated 20 cemeteries. As fate would have it, they didn't manage to move all the grave sites. Even creepier is most of the buildings, structures, and roads still remain intact below the water's surface to this very day.
Like the concrete buildings and the racetrack and
the general store.
I guess they would have to take out all the wooden structures.
Well, I don't know, because Josh, think about this. I mean, there was a story a couple years back when the water got really low on the lake, right?
Yeah.
And the story was that you could see the steeple of the old church sticking out of the water.
Oh, come on.
What was the steeple made of?
The steeple was
Titanium?
made of God. Come on, man. It lasts forever.
Do you not remember the little rhyme?
What's the rhyme?
This is the church. This is the people. This is this. What is it?
Wow, you just butchered
Nice
that.
job.
People.
Nailed it.
This is the. Wait, hold on.
I'm getting it. Hold on,
Open
guys.
the doors on the people. What's that stupid rhyme? You guys know the one that you.
No, we know. Just keep going.
Here's the. All right, I'm done.
This is the church. This is the steeple.
This is the steeple.
Open the door.
Open the door.
There's
There's all the people. There we go.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Baller.
Baller.
You're a
It is
baller.
I'm a baller.
All right. The small town that was flooded was once called Oscarville. Oscarville was a thriving village back in the early 1900s that was predominantly Black-owned. Two known events that occurred prior to the town being flooded would change the history of Oscarville and its 1,098 families forever.
You remember that part where I said, "Hey, Josh, let's go ride on your boat"?
Are you done?
I'm kind of rethinking that now.
Yeah, by the end of this story, no one's getting on this lake. I'll tell you this, though. So I'd mentioned we live on the lake and we have a boat, and I will not get in the lake. I will not get in dark water, period. And I think a lot of it goes back to when I was young. I was probably 10-ish. We were in Galveston, Texas. I was out in the water, probably chest deep, and a wave came up over me, and I was entangled in a jellyfish. I mean,
What?
entangled in a jellyfish. I came out of that water ripping the tentacles off of myself. You know, I'm no psychiatrist, but I would probably say that freaked me out.
There's
ruined it.
There's some trauma there.
There's some trauma. Let's talk through it, guys.
Do we need to have a session, Todd?
Yeah.
Well, Todd,
Yeah.
look at this puppet I have here of a jellyfish.
Oh my
Where
gosh,
did that
hey.
jellyfish touch you? Show me on the jellyfish.
Well, it touched me
Show me on
here,
the jellyfish.
everywhere. It touched me everywhere, Tim.
Was it a man of war?
No, he wasn't fighting anyone. It was not a man of war. No, I don't think this was a man of war. I think this was just your standard old jellyfish. And, you know, I've had them in the past where they brush by my leg and you feel it. It stings. You know, it's like, you know, you kind of get in a briar patch or something like that. It's just a stinging, burning sensation. This was on me, all over me. Right? Oh, dude, it was the worst
I would not
thing.
like that. You know, I don't, there's like things like textures that I just don't like. And I know
Yeah.
jellyfish would be one.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that I got in dark water after that. I mean, I did, but I was always like super cautious.
But you're always like, well, and that's funny because I've asked you too, Todd, like, hey, let's go floating, right? Floating down the river or something.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, no, that's all right.
Yeah, no, it sounds good, bro, but I'm busy.
I get it.
I'm
You
real
keep going
busy.
back to that man of war or whatever they're called.
That dude was fighting me. I came running out of that water just yelling, "Somebody pee on me!" No one did. No one did.
Nobody
Which,
did.
whatever,
Nobody
you
offered
know.
up their
You
urine.
weren't able to relive that fantasy.
Move on.
Moving on September 8th, 1912, May Crow, an 18-year-old white woman, was raped and beaten. Reports stated that the beating was so brutal that her eye was dislocated from her skull. The beating would eventually result in her death just 15 days later. 2 black men were accused of her death and stood trial for 1 day. They were immediately hung outside of the town as 5,000 onlookers watched their lifeless bodies swinging in the warm and humid autumn Georgia breeze.
That's so graphic.
Yeah, you kind of romanticize that.
Yeah, it's really.
Well, I didn't want to romanticize it. I wanted it to be like almost picture painting. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
oh, like you can feel, like when you say warm, humid autumn Georgia breeze, you go, oh, I know what that feels like. So you picture yourself there.
That was it.
2 weeks prior to May Crow's death, another white woman named Ellen Price was allegedly raped by a black man. An angry mob quickly assembled and hung the man without an investigation or a proper trial.
Can you imagine?
I cannot imagine. You know, we talked about this on the last episode a little bit, and we had mentioned that Tim and myself are both Gen X, and Josh is millennial. He wants to say it's Gen Y, but it's actually not. It's millennial. Gen X, I know specifically, and Josh is probably even more so for you being a little bit younger, that when we were growing up, I never thought about somebody being of another color being any different. I never thought anything. I mean, I think we were the first generation that like embraced another culture. Like hip hop music was coming up, and it was finding itself into white homes, and we loved it.
Mhm.
So there was never this, you know, oh my gosh, there's separation. It just never felt that way to me as a child growing up, that I can't imagine what a particular group of people had to go through for generation after generation after generation.
I agree with you, Todd. I think growing up, why would you hate anybody because of their skin? You know, I didn't have that ingrained in me at all, ever. It was love it, love one another, right? Take care of others.
Fear breeds hate. I mean, it just does. When we fear something, we are, against it. We don't want anything to do with it, right? And it could be anything. It could be me and the jellyfish in dark water. I fear it. I want nothing to do with it. Maybe that's a bad example too, because I have a reason to fear it. Also, that being said, media, television, movies over these years, and kind of preaching that way of thought is experience. Is someone experiencing it? They're experiencing it through a program. The mob would grow increasingly more violent over the time and would eventually chase down and run off 1,098 black residents.
In Oscarville.
In Oscarville. Yep.
Wow.
And on September 3rd, the mob would begin burning down Black-owned homes, businesses, and churches in the town of Oscarville. The state would erect the Buford Dam and flood the old town to create what is now known as Lake Lanier. The on-paper reason for the damming and creation of the lake was so that Georgia would be able to replenish the water source and support the hydroelectric power system for the city of Atlanta.
One of the presidents that we had, we'd have to look it up. They went over to Germany and they started seeing all of the highways that they were building. And that's why there was a big push to get highways made here.
The infrastructure?
Yeah.
I mean, you're right, because I think states were given such an influx of money to build up their infrastructure. And, you know, who knows? I mean, I'm sure there's record out there if we dug that, you know, Georgia used that money to, you know, create a water supply for Atlanta. I don't know.
This is a question I'd say. Is this the only known incident where the government said, okay, look, this is going to hurt. We're going to be putting a waterway here and we're going to run over this town?
No.
With the water. Is there other towns that were affected by the same, you know, what do you call it? Army Corps of Engineers?
Oh,
decision?
I'm sure there's stories all over the nation. But the thing you have to think about as well is that, you know, that law of eminent domain where the government can come in and say, hey, your house is kind of in the way of this new road we want to build, so we're taking your home. I don't know. I don't believe the government should ever have the ability or the power to take something from its citizens. I don't. Now, if they wanted to offer, if they wanted to say, hey, listen, market value of your house is $300,000.
Yeah.
We would like to give you, because it's also, you know, kind of, you know, going to be a little bit of a pain for you to uproot and move.
Here's an incentive.
We'd like to give you $375,000.
That's correct.
Because this is going to be beneficial for our state. This episode is sponsored by Advance Merch. If you're a brand, band, or business, Advance Merch can service all of your custom decorated apparel, design, and fulfillment needs. From in-house screen printing and embroidery to full-service e-commerce development and support, Advance Merch is a one-stop shop for all your custom merchandise. Visit Advance Merch for additional information and submit a quote request today. Mention Created by Human to receive 10% off your first custom apparel order. Others believe that the flooding was simply a way to erase the horrors that took place in Oscarville and bury them under 100 feet of mucky water to delete the history that no one wanted to remember. See, guys, that's how a true professional does it. Keep, you know what I'm saying? He just keeps. I'm still rocking it.
That's awesome. Way to go.
Although it was distracting.
That was an amazing crow sound.
I'm a lichen.
I like that, though. That is fascinating that maybe they were covering up something. It could be the greatest cover-up in Georgia history.
Ooh.
Josh, great point. Because, it's clicking in your head.
I never thought about it like that before.
No one for many, many of decades has talked, mentioned, uttered a word about Oscarville. Until recently.
Yeah. You know what's weird?
What?
I've lived here for 7 years in the Atlanta area, and this is the second time I've talked about this very subject. You know what the first time was? A week ago. No. A week ago, some random coworker I was riding along with in the car said the very same thing. He said, oh, you know, the thing about Lake Lanier is it's cursed. And I'm like, cursed? What are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, the town underneath it was wrongfully covered, you know, as he put it. So this is the second time in 7 years that I've been here that we're talking about. And
so
coincidentally,
the second time within a week, Josh, Tim, is Lake Lanier haunted?
Ooh, that's a good question.
It's a great question. Lake Lanier has certainly experienced its share of tragedies over the years. But is the lake truly haunted? with a current estimated death count of somewhere between 500 to 700 people on the waters of Lake Lanier, and thousands of close calls. Multiple survivors have told tales of ghostly beings pulling them into the depths.
What? Ugh.
Right?
Ugh. That's jellyfish times 1,000 right there.
Yeah. Well, dude, it gets even weirder.
I can't believe that.
Divers have stated that they have felt many body parts in the lake during their excursions. In 2017, an experienced diver named Buck told local media that you reach out into the dark and you feel an arm or a leg and it doesn't move.
I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
Todd, I don't think we should continue.
Are you scared?
I'm too scared. I'm peeing my pants.
Don't pee yourself. Don't pee yourself.
I just peed a little.
We just have a little bit longer to go.
I watch too many horror films.
Yes, you do.
What if each person in that water, is trying to account for the population of the town with fresh lives from the people out boating on their lake, you know? They're like, we only need 520 more to complete the town. What if, when you drown there, you're like taken back to the old town as a ghostly swimmer from 2022?
Well, hold on. How crazy would that be? Again, we start talking about weird stuff. We start talking about portals and dimensions and time travel. It always comes up. But how weird would that be that if it's true that you are grabbed by one of these lost souls of the lake and drug underwater, and your consciousness and life is taken from you from this plane, that you end up in 1912 in Oscarville.
I like that.
So you say there's a diver who's seen or felt body parts, because you really can't see down there, I would think.
No, it's so thick and mucky down there. I think some of the divers say you can barely see a few inches in front of your face.
That's just the stuff of nightmares right there.
Yeah.
Because what if you're swimming along and then all of a sudden, you got a skeleton just sitting there in your face?
Well, I think that happens quite often to some of these divers.
People lose their wedding rings. That's a common thing. And so they will hire a diver to come out and get it. I lost a miter saw in the lake and my phone. Right. Because I unhooked the miter saw from when I was on the dock working on the boat. I unhooked the miter saw from the table that it sits on. And I didn't realize that when you unhook it, it's top heavy. And so it just flipped pretty much into the water. And I dove head first to try and grab it. And obviously didn't, and lost my phone. And I had to come out. And I was freezing because it was in December or whatever. I was freezing. And then this lady who was kind of hoboing on the houseboat next to me came out with all these women clothes. So I had to take off all my clothes and put on her women's clothes while I was at the dock. You did. And so, yeah, we had, it was great. We had dinner and she was a lovely lady. That's about
and we
all
made sweet love.
Yeah. I'll just leave it at that.
Are you purposely dropping your phone in the lake so that hobo woman will come out and make sweet love to you every time?
That's expensive.
Yes, that can get costly. How much does she charge, Josh?
All I can see is this hobo woman sitting there with you later. You both are sitting in there her makeshift hot tub that's on her boat or whatever, and she's telling you about the worst death on the lake, and when they pulled the body from the twisted, burning wreck, it looked like this. And then she does that Pee Wee Herman thing and explodes into Mad Marge.
Tell him, Large Marge sent ya.
Hobo Jenny sent ya. And you were the boat disappears and you end up back in the water.
There are other local stories of a mysterious lady of the lake, whom can be seen walking up and down one of the bridges on the lake, lost and restless, still wearing her blue dress. She
hobo-ish.
Josh picked her up.
Little did Josh know. He's out there with hobo Jenny, and it's her.
Hobo
Hey, did she have like a strange dangling eye by chance, Josh?
She had an eye patch on. She had an eye patch on. So I thought that was kind of. I mean, this lady did have an eye patch, though. So,
Did she really?
I was sort of right with my description. And when
Josh,
they pulled the body,
Josh, you were banging a ghost. Guys, if anybody's curious about the Lady of the Lake, ask Josh. He slept with her.
Knows. She's really nice.
She's super sweet.
She hangs up her lady clothes.
All right, let me try to get through this sentence, this paragraph. All right. There are other local stories of a mysterious lady of the lake, whom can be seen walking up and down one of the bridges, lost and restless, still wearing the blue dress she wore the night the lake took her life back in 1958, when her Ford sedan careened off the bridge and tumbled into the lake.
There's also another crazy tale of a man that is on just a little dinghy with a lantern. You see him out at like certain nights of the year, and he patrols the lake.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
In his little dinghy?
In his little dinghy.
So Josh, you actually have a old sailboat, 100-plus-year-old sailboat on Lake Lanier.
92 years old.
92 years old.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
Doubloon.
Doubloon.
Doubloon. Like the coin, the old Spanish coin.
Oh. The old Spanish coin.
Right.
Now, Josh, why is this boat haunted? Todd, Josh, why?
This is 92 years old, and I'm sure someone's died on it.
Really?
Have you ever experienced anything weird while you've been out on the boat?
No, because, we almost lost our rudder once. Our sonar came off, just popped off. No idea why. Off the bottom of the boat, and it came and it popped off, and it was just dragging behind the boat. The only way something like that can happen is if something actually hit us, like hard enough that actually it busted the wood off the hull, which is what the sonar was connected to. And so the only way that this could have disconnected is something had to hit it. Something is in the lake and it hit us, and we don't know what it is.
A log?
Perhaps it was the steeple.
The steeple.
The church steeple.
Yeah, so I have to go. I want to go and camp out on it at night and see what happens.
Definitely.
My business partner, Zach, he bought the boat 2019, and we got it here August 13th. So we trucked it here from San Diego. We preserved her, refitted her, did everything, got her in the water January 2020, and was ready to start our programs, which is like a nonprofit where we take out people out of recovery and take them out and do some really cool, fun stuff where they go sailing, and we can go swimming. We can do a little bit like we cook out on one of the beaches and just have a really fun retreat. We did all that, and then COVID happened, so it kind of put us back a little bit, but that got me into learning how to sail better, because before this, I had never sailed in my life, and now I have a 30-ton, 90-year-old sailboat.
That's awesome.
It's a ship. It's 50 feet long. It's a ship.
Yeah. You own a ship. You don't own a boat you do have a dinghy, though, don't you? You have dinghy.
His name's Humphrey.
Yeah. Hey, Humphrey the dinghy. Josh, you mentioned that you and your partner have this nonprofit. What is the name of the company?
The Crossbones Company.
Where can people go get some information?
thecrossbones.org.
thecrossbones.org.
Mm-hmm. Or search us on Facebook or Instagram, The Crossbones Company.
By the time this podcast comes out, it's still going to be before October of 2022. Mm-hmm. I'd like to throw this out there and see where it sticks. Let's do a haunted night boat ride for Halloween.
Oh, let's do this. Yes. Yes, we need to. We need to do it so bad.
And we will see if we can't find the Lady of the Lake.
What's her name? The Lady of the Lake?
Lady of the Lake.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. That's her name.
Spooky. Great story, Todd.
Did you like it?
I loved it.
Good.
This was exciting.
There's a dark history that surrounds Lake Lanier, and Georgia is a wonderful place. I mean, all three of us, Tim, Josh, and myself, we all live here, and we love it. It's an amazing place. It's a great place to raise a family. And the lake is beautiful. The lake is beautiful. It sits, you can see the mountains from the lake up on the north side.
It's just a word of caution.
So I don't want to discourage anybody from not coming here. We have history. As Tim said, it's a word of caution. Mm-hmm. Even us, we have older children that are, late teens, early 20s, and we still require them to put on life vest when they get in the water, because you never know. So when you're out there on Lake Lanier looking for the Lady of the Lake, just be careful. Lake Lanier is without a question one of the deadliest lakes in North America. There are plenty of reasons why one could assume this lake to be haunted. Simply pick one of the many stories told by the locals, or ask the Lady of the Lake the next time you're out on an evening stroll. As the old town of Oscarville and its tormented residents may be long forgotten and easily overlooked, while their history lies buried beneath the water, in recent years we have been reminded of our nation's dark and shameful past, like what happened with the residents of Oscarville, Georgia. Burying our past, even though it may be shameful, is never, in my opinion, the way to move forward. Every joyful and painful story defines who and what we are today. Without our past, we are destined to repeat the exact same atrocities that we as people are trying to forget. Not even 100 feet of water can make everything seem okay. Gentlemen, I think that's it for episode 2. All right. Love you guys.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Be sure to subscribe to the Created by Human podcast. Leave us a review. Follow us on our socials at Created by Human. Head over to createdbyhuman.com for additional information. Sign up on our mailing list and check out our Created by Human swag. Does it just sound like gibberish? We'll be back next week with an all-new story that is sure to make you question, is it true or was it